and I'm ready to turn into coins. The one I want to work with today is going to be this, I believe it's a 50-cent piece from Newfoundland from this one is 1888. Come on, camera. There we go. The detail in the center is almost worn away, but you can see this beautiful pattern on the outside. It's going to make a stunning ring. So I'm excited to try this one. I have noticed that with some of these older coins, they tend to crack a little bit more. I think the mixing process for the alloy wasn't quite as advanced as it is today. The other things I've gotten in store are this seeded $50. That's going to be cool. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do the eagle side out on this one. But I haven't decided yet. The stars will look really pretty, and having the date on the outside looks stunning. And I've got a Walker half here. I've got a bunch of Walker halves in here. And I've got some Kennedy halves and a Franklin, 2 Franklin halves, 3 Franklin halves. I've got some other foreign coins. I've got a couple of these ones from Newfoundland. They're 50-cent pieces. That's there. Anyway, that's what we're going to show you today. And oh, here we go. This has got a nice patina on it, so you can see it a little bit better. This one's from 1870. Just a cool coin. All right, and then I've got this is a Canadian. I think this is a Canadian quarter from. When is it? I think I punched the date out of it. Early 1900s, but that's going to make a really pretty ring as well. And then I've also got some Morgans and some piece dollars in this pile right here. Morgans and piece that I'm going to be making. Got a couple of shows coming up, and I need to get some inventory in stock. So I got a couple proof quarters and a couple of silver quarters. These are what are these? These are barber quarters. Okay, so as you can see, I've already punched this this hole in this one. I opted for a larger hole to reduce the risk of cracking on the older ones. But the way I punch that out is I use the 6-ton press over here, and I use from a Legacy Coin Rings. I use this punch set. It has the die inside, and then you have these little spacers that you stick your coin in. This is what I could afford when I bought all my coin ring tools, and I actually really like this set. And I don't know if I'll go to any other set. I enjoy this set. But I stick it in there, I put it in my 6-ton press, and I crank down the handle. It's got a bottle jack. Crank it down. So you crank it down, and it punches a nice hole in the coin pretty rapidly. So anyway, but we've already got that step done, so we're going to go over and we're going to start the annealing process. So what I'm going to do first off camera is I'm going to anneal this. What I will tell you is that the way I anneal, some people like to put a magic marker, a Sharpie marker on there, and then anneal till it's gone. My preferred method is actually visual. I turn the lights down, and then I heat it up until it just starts to glow just a little tiny bit. You can just barely see that cherry glow, and then I stop and then I quench. Okay, so we'll get on to that. One thing I forgot to mention is that with this coin, I did already use my deburring tool on the inside edge, so it's nice and smooth. So I'm not doing that process on camera right now, but I put my coin on my tongs, and then I just hover it over top of the flame. I said I was going to do this off camera, but you know what? I can actually do this while I'm holding it. And I just like to flip around, make sure you keep it moving. I keep my propane pretty low, on low, so it's not wasting so much when I'm doing this portion of it, wasting so much gas when I'm doing this. But I'm just heating it up, and I can kind of see the metal is starting to change color. It's kind of turning a brownish color now. And a little bit of purplish in there from the copper. being annealed. And it's just starting to get to that point where it's changing the color of the flame when I go around. And I think I'm going to stop right about, okay, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but that flame's turning a little bit of green in there. That's where I'm going to stop. I'm over here to my water, quench it, and then I'm ready for my first fold. Alright, so I've got that annealed. You can see the different color here to the metal now. It's no longer silver, it's more of a yellowish. Oh, come on. There we go. So it's more of a yellowish tint to it. And the other thing I didn't mention is I do like to take a piece of sandpaper. Actually, I use these little sanding blocks. So I can set this down here. I use these little sanding blocks right here for fingernails. And I like to sand that. Some people will just use a chunk of sandpaper. These work great. They're soft. They fit right in here. And all I'm doing is smoothing out any potential jagged edges. Those jagged edges can lead to a tear. And especially on these older silver coins, you really don't want to do that. You want to make sure that that's nice and smooth so that you don't have that risk of cracking or tearing your coin. And then that makes it easier too to see the edges are nice and smooth. And if any cracks start to form, you can see them really well if you've done this step before you try to fold your next fold. That makes sense. Okay, anyway, so now I've got that done. I'm ready for my first fold. So what I like to use, let's see, where did I put it? A little disorganized in here. I've got a lot going on lately, so I'm not quite as, everything's not quite in its place, but I know where things are. So I'm going to find the best die. I think this one right here. This one fits right here. And so you want to put it in the die, so whichever design you want on the outer edge, that goes down. And this doesn't fit in that side, so I'm going to flip it over. It's slightly bigger on that side, and that just barely fits in there. And now you want to line that up so it's nice and even before you do your first fold. Set that on my 1-ton press. I'm going to put this very small starter cone on there. Some people do this differently. They go right to the big cone. On these older coins, I like to go to the smaller. I like to go with the smaller cone first, and then this might be challenging to do one-handed without tipping this coin in there. Okay, and then we bring it down, and I'm just going to give that first fold. Sorry about the camera angle there. So I bring it down until it, I like to bring it down so that that cone bottoms out in there. It didn't quite do that yet. And I'm looking at, and it doesn't look like there's any cracks starting, so I'm gonna just do that one more time. I'm gonna see if this other side fits yet. Not quite. It's still kind of loose. You don't want to put it in there if the coin is too big, because you'll wreck all the detail around the outer edge. So I'm gonna go back to here. Line that up. I've never tried doing this one-handed, so this is interesting. And set that cone in there. Make sure that it's still nice and even. I've noticed that I'm almost bottoming out right here. So in order to avoid that, I go over here and I grab one of my spacers. My pushers, and I just set that right on top, and then I can bring that down, and I'm just going to gently push that down in there, and I can feel that tightening up in there because it's bottoming out. That cone is now bottomed out in there, so now I can pull it out, and we have our first fold. That's the starter fold. And it's good to start slow, especially when you're first starting out making these things. It's always good to start slow. There's no rush in this. When you start rushing, that's when you start making mistakes. So then I go ahead and I give that a little sand on there because I want to see if there's any cracks forming. And you probably, I'm not sure if you can see this on camera, but it looks really good. So I can move on to the next anneal and then fold. Okay, so I'm on to my next anneal. I'm just going to keep that rotating. You can see it's starting to change color. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to bring it over here, quench it, turn off my propane, and then I like to dry these off too. You don't want to get all that water in your dies. So now I've got that ready for my second fold. Now I'm going to move on to the larger folding cone. I like the steel ones because they don't get stuck. I do have a softer Delrin. I think that's what that is. That synthetic. But I've noticed that if I do this too early, the ring gets stuck on there, and I don't like messing with that. So the thing I like about this is that it sticks to your. It's magnetic. I got this from King's Coin Ring Tools. But it's magnetic and it just sticks right on there, so you can center it easier. But right now I'm going to use the see if I can get this to line up. I'm going to use the stainless steel cone. I'm going to put my ring in there. I'm going to center it, and I like to hold it up on top and then just slowly bring it down until it seats in right where it's supposed to. And then I just gently, you don't want to do this fast, you just want to gently bring down. Now this is an old coin, so I don't want to go too far too fast because I don't want to risk cracking. Okay, it looks really good, really smooth, so I'm going to put it back in there, recenter. And this time I'm just going to go all the way in. So I normally wouldn't just go all the way in like this, but I could see that that cut edge was looking really good. Didn't have any cracks at all. And now this one, get this stuff out of the way. So that's looking really good. So that was actually my full fold on that, and I can't fold anymore because I bottomed out on the cone. You just want to go down until you can't see space anymore in there. So now we can go on to the ring stretcher. Okay, so when you're stretching your ring, you want to make sure that you put something over top of that mandrel so that you don't obliterate the details on the inside of the coin. And you have to make sure that that plastic is up on the inside of that. This is just a Ziploc baggie that had a hole in it, so I just turned this into, but you can use plastic garbage bags, or you can use just the bags you get from like Cub Foods or any kind of a food store, convenience store. you want it fairly even in there, and this is really hard to do one-handed. Hang on just a second. Okay, so I'm back. I've got this on here. Now I'm just going to slide it down. And before I do that, I want to anneal. Good thing I remembered, otherwise I might have cracked this one. But I've got this now to where I'm ready to stretch. I've annealed it off camera. I'm putting it on the ring stretcher. And now what we do is we stretch, and then we push down and turn like a quarter of an inch. And then you stretch, and then you turn, and you stretch. Normally I'm using two hands to do this. I'm holding it with one hand and stretching it with the other. That way I can just keep going faster. It's not about speed necessarily, but if you're trying to be efficient with your time. Now what's happening here is that this is cutting off the plastic. So there's this piece of plastic which is doing no good on the inside of the ring. I'm going to go ahead and reset up my camera. Hang on just a second. Alright, so let me just show you real quick. I just pop this on here, my coin ring over it, and then I just stretch it gently, turning it each time. Check it so that you don't have any cracks. This looks good. Keep going. It's going to start to work harden pretty soon. This is looking really good. It's a nice metal on this one. It seems to be a really good mix. A really good alloy mix. But see how that's starting to take shape? So what I want to do is I want to stretch that until it becomes flat up against, so there's no space. Not quite there yet. I've just got to go a little bit further. I think I'm going to try a little bit more because this is feeling really good. It's not feeling super work hardened yet, even though I've stretched it a bit. Okay, so now, you have to do that now. I'm starting to feel work hardened. And it's getting really close to being up against the mandrel. So I'm going to stop, I'm going to anneal, and then we'll keep stretching, but it's looking great. Where are we here? There we go. It's looking really great. And I'm preserving all the detail on the inside there. Okay, I'm back because my memory card is already full on that cheap camera that I've got, so I'm now on my phone. I can't mount this. I don't have anything to mount this with. Let me go see if I can find a holder for this camera. I'll be right back. Yay, I figured out a way to do this using my phone. Okay, so now I've got this getting close to being flush to the mandrel. The ring stretcher. So I'm just going to make sure that's on there. Okay. So I'm going to continue to stretch this. Now, I just want to encourage people, if you've got just a flimsy workbench like I do, you can still make beautiful stuff. You don't have to have the latest and greatest and the best. You know, yeah, it would be nice to have a stronger workbench, but you do with what you have, and that's what I have. So now I'm gonna flip this around. Some people don't do this, but I like to flip this around and stretch a couple times. That what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these sidewalls nice and flat and flush, so there's no cupping like that. Ooh, this focus is way better. Okay, so you can see there's a slight cupping right there. That's what I'm trying to get rid of in this process. I'm putting it back around so the reed side is up, stretching it a little farther down. Now, one thing we didn't talk about yet is ring size. I hadn't decided yet what size to make this ring. I'm thinking maybe a size 10. I'm already well beyond that. I'm at a size 14 right now. So typically you want to go 2 to 3 times larger than your target size. And since I hadn't really established that ahead of time, I'm going to just make this for myself. I wear a size 10. But that's a long way to go back to a 10, and it's not necessary because this is almost flat right now. So what I want to do is I'll probably maybe I'll make this a 12 or 11. So now I'm ready to reduce. So before I do that, put it in the reduction dies. I'm going to anneal it again just to make sure I'm keeping that metal nice and soft. And let me just adjust this slightly. And I am doing this with full light. I'm not doing it the way I normally do it, but I've been doing this long enough to kind of be able to tell where the annealing point is. So I'm just going to go ahead and anneal that. And just to the point where it starts to change. Almost there. Once you've got these things stretched out, it doesn't take long to anneal them, especially the thinner coins. And I can see it's just starting to change color a little bit. And I don't want it to go too far past that. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just wipe that off. I'm going to see how we're doing on cracks, so I'm going to use a little bit of sandpaper on here. Perfect. Yeah, that thing is looking really nice. Okay, so I'm ready for the reduction die. Now we're going to do the Swedish Wrap. You have to do this. I think I'm going to use my smallest one, which is a 7 degree 1.1. So you can see that. That's from the Legacy brand coin ring tools. And that's going to fit in there, but I have to wrap that first. Once I wrap it, it may not fit in there. So we'll see what happens. Now, I've discovered a new process that I'm using for wrapping, so I'm not going through so much Teflon tape. I do like this blue Monster tape that I get at Menards. I don't know if you have Menards in your area, but that's a Midwest thing, I think. All right, I give one wrap, I pull it off. Okay, so I've got it wrapped. Now, I found this red tape at a garage sale. It's just it's electrical tape. You can use the black stuff too. But I've decided to start using this because it's super thick. If you give it one wrap with the Teflon tape, you'll prevent your surface from getting all gummed up from the adhesive. And then what I like to do is trim this right when it starts to double back on itself. Sorry, I had to do that off camera. But I don't want to. Where am I? I don't want to leave a whole lot of overlap because that can actually cause an irregularity when you are reducing. And then I just fold this over. And now I'm going to see if it fits in the die that I want to use. And it does. So great, I can do that. So now I put it in there, get it nice and snug and even. And now we're going to press it down. And what you want to do is you want to use your largest pusher that you can so that you avoid the risk of slipping off the edge of the cone. Now some people like these, the Swedish Wrap coin pushers. I haven't mastered these and I still am not super comfortable with them, so I have had them slip off on the inside edge of the I've had them slip off on the inside edge of the coin and then create not only potentially wreck the inside edge, but then also it wrecks the edge of this. That creates this big chunk out of there, and then it doesn't work well after that. So I've been sticking with these plastic pushers. They've been working really well for me, and I can just go incrementally. So when I take that, I'm just going to press that down. That's going to bottom out about right there. And I can just go to my next size, get that nice and centered. Go right there. And now we've brought that down. And you can check it on your mandrel, but it's not going to be accurate because there's all that extra stuff in there. But it's right around a size 11 right now. So now what I want to do is I want to flip it over, and I want to do the same thing to the reeded edge. You always want to make sure if you're using these kind of pushers that you push it the same distance on each one. So like in this side, when I put it down in this side, I went down to about that first ridge. Now when I turn it over, I want to do that again because I want that to be nice and even. So both sides match, so those ridges match up. Because I don't have a specific size in mind right now, I don't have to be quite so careful about what I'm doing, like how far down I'm pushing. But I'm basically just pushing it down to that first ridge right there. And now when I take it out, I'm zoomed in too far. Let me just back this up. And that's perfectly flat. So now I'm ready for polishing, but let's see what size this turned out to be. And you know what? That's just about my size. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take my deburring tool and I'm going to take off the inside edge of that. It's going to make it just a little bit bigger. That's probably going to fit me. Okay, so now I'm going to use my deburring tool. And because this is silver, I'm going to save those shavings, so I'm going to move you over here. I made myself a little cardboard tray, and I marked it silver, so that when I do this, it'll catch the shavings, and then I can put those in a little container and save them for later. Alright, let's see, where am I? Alright, so right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and file away the inside. I want to take away that ridge, that pointed ridge from the edge of the coin, because that becomes really uncomfortable to wear. We don't want rings that are uncomfortable. We want rings that are nice. You have that nice comfort fit, nice and smooth on the inside, feel good in your finger. You want your customer to be pleased with the ring and not avoiding wearing it because it hurts their finger. So I'm just going to go a little bit more on this. Alright, that looks good. So I've got that ridge up. Now I can go ahead and start polishing and finishing. So everybody has a little different way that they like to finish off their rings. Here's the method that I like to use. I actually bought these special tools that fit on my drill, the little mandrels, and you slide your ring on those, and then you can put them on your drill and speed it up. You can get a very nice polish with those. It comes in 3 different sizes. I believe I got this through Legacy brand coin rings. And so you can remove, I don't know if this is on, yeah, okay. So you can remove this, and if your ring is a little too large, you go to the next size up. And we're going to put the put that washer on there, spin it on, and then I can put my ring on there, and now it fits. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure that that is perfectly even. And so if it's not perfectly even, you need to just adjust it so that when you're spinning it, there's no wobble. And that's pretty good right there. So then what I do is I use these little orange blocks. I get these off of, got these on Amazon, I believe. And they're just for fingernail filing for beauty salons. But I just take this and I start up my drill. Okay, so you can see now that even doing just that, I think this is getting the camera. Sorry, I don't have a lot of experience with the camera, so I'm not sure what angles I'm getting, but you can see that it's already starting to polish that up really nice. And we're just smoothing it out, getting a nice finish on there, taking out some of the impurities along the edge. There is a little bit of damage to the outer rim of this coin. It adds character. You know, some people like to take that out. I have had so many customers comment on how they love the fact that the reeded edge is still on there. That way they know it's a coin. So I like to leave that. I don't like to take that off. Some people do. That's totally your preference. But I like to hold it at about a 45-degree angle and just get rid of that real hard edge right there. That's really all I'm doing, is getting rid of the hard edge and just shining that up a little bit. And then I do let the sandpaper hit the surface, but I don't press on it. Okay, so one thing that you need to do is you need to get the inside of the ring. I usually do that by hand, but sometimes if it fits just barely on the tip, you can get something down inside of there and use this mandrel. So like when I put the reeded side edge down, that's actually going to work and allow me to get inside a little bit. Just want to make sure that the thing's on there tight. This edge, though, is going to be pretty smooth already because you've deburred it with the deburring tool and sanded it along the way. So that's not going to need much attention. But then I'm just going to take this, I'm just going to sand this out, and I'm just smoothing things up, taking some of that excess. If there's like a little tiny thin sharp edge on the inside where you deburred, this will just take that off. Okay, so now you can see that it's nice and smooth in there. The outside edge is real nice. And now I like to do, I finish it off with steel wool. I didn't put any kind of a darkening patina on there because just the scaling, the fire scaling from the annealing process left enough of a patina on there for me. I'm fine with that, but if I wanted to, I could stick this in a liver of sulfur solution and darken that up again and buff it out so there'd be a little bit more. But what I tend to notice is that when you do that, and you go back over it with steel wool, you still end up taking away some of that stuff that's right in those flat spots. So I don't even bother with it most of the time unless it's really strongly desired. So then I take that steel wool and I'm just and polish that on the inside first. The reason I do it on the inside first is when you're doing it by hand, you may leave some little scuff marks in there with the steel wool. And on the outer side of the ring, I like that to be as clean as possible and polished as possible. And the way I do that is stick it back on the mandrel. Make sure that's nice and even on there. That's really good. Okay, and now I just I like to do this over a trash can typically, but I just... Whoop. Now you can see what happened. That grip, this is rubber, so anything loose is going to grip onto there, so you have to be real careful. And normally I don't do this. I have this down in my lap so I can stabilize it better. But and I just give that a high-speed burnish, and I flip it over. And you got to be careful. Sometimes this gets really hot on the ring. Get that extra stuff off of there. Still a little wobbly. That's pretty good. And I go back and I do the same thing with this. Alright, so that shines it up really nice. Now what you notice is that the patina is almost gone on here now. And so I think I will, just to show you how to do it, I will put it in a liver of sulfur bath. So since I don't have a pickle bath like a lot of these guys use, which is heated and it's got chemical in there, I just use some acetone. This is actually nail polish remover that I got from dollar store, and I just wash this off. I want to get all that surface oils from my fingers and any kind of debris off of there, so that patina will take. So we'll be able to etch right into that metal. Okay, so I get that. Set that down. Okay, I put my I got my water in the microwave, and I heated it up to almost boiling. Now I'm going to put in a few drops of liver of sulfur. Don't get this on your hands. And we're going to give that a quick stir. And then we're going to take and just, you can either just drop your ring in there, or I'd like to set it in there. And you can see it start to turn black almost immediately. You don't need to leave it in there super long, but the longer you leave it in there, the darker that patina is going to get. So it doesn't get black, it's dark gray. I'm going to leave them in that a little bit longer. So I'm going to pull that out. And once you pull this out of the liver of sulfur solution, you want to neutralize that that chemical reaction using a baking soda bath. So I've got baking soda and water in a separate jar. And I'm just going to give that a little rinse, pat it dry. And because this is more of a low relief coin, it doesn't have the high relief, you have to be a little bit more careful with how much you burnish off when you take your steel wool to it. And now all you want to do is just kind of do a light scuffing with steel wool. It leaves that little bit of patina on there, antiquing. I like the ends polished nice and shiny. And the inside as well. Okay, and there we go, and a finished ring. Love that pattern, love that design. Again, this is a Newfoundland 50-cent piece from 1888. Nice history to that old coin, and that's going to look great on my finger. I'll take some photos and I'll put them in the end. And thank you so much for watching. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to be with me here and sharing this process. And again, I encourage you, the power of positive thinking says you can do it. Tell yourself you can do it, believe it in your heart, and then do it. And you will be a success. All right, everybody, God bless you. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.